Hello, and welcome to another Modern Commerce Talks from Avensia. I'm Jack Stratton, your host from Insider Trends, and I'm delighted to be joined today, someone I've spoken to many times before, Johan Liljeros, who is a Senior Advisor and General Manager for the US. Hello, Johan.
Hello, how are you today? Nice to be here.
Yeah, good, and thanks so much for finding the time, and thanks to everyone who's found the time to listen to this. Johan, I'm really laying down the gauntlet for you today, setting you a significant task. Composable commerce is, as we've mentioned many times before, it's a real hot subject in the world of e-com at the moment. What I'm interested in is, can we kind of give a perspective to businesses out there that maybe are hearing about it, but they haven't necessarily got entirely to grips with what it is and the business values and stuff like that. So we're kind of framing this as the composable commerce business perspective in 5 minutes. We can probably stretch to six or seven if we need them. So I'm going to pass it over to you. Give us the kind of lowdown on composable commerce for those businesses out there that are just starting to get to grips with it, and why it's worth being excited about what it really means.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, and it's such an interesting concept, and summarizing 20 years of different paradigm shifts within e-commerce up to composable commerce, it's of course a challenge. But if we start looking into what composable commerce actually is, to get a grip around that and kind of pull the mystery out of it, I would say that composable commerce is basically best of breed, putting together the components that you need to optimize your business. That's like the base of it. Is this something new? I would say, as a concept, no. Best of breed has been around for, I don't know, I've been implementing best of breed solutions for 15 years, maybe, something like that. But newer technology on the market today, and cloud enablement and API first and all these different architectures and stuff, has made it much more profitable to do it. And you also become much more agile today, since all different bits and pieces, components on the market adapt into this one and the same technology, basically, which was a totally different song 15 years ago. When I talk about components, to be clear there too, one is the e-commerce platform, which is there to orchestrate the actual e-commerce flows. But then, I mean, you have CMS, you have content production systems, because headless CMS is also a new concept in this realm. Payments, search, personalization, marketing automation, hosting, checkout, digital asset management, all of these different components that you can pick and choose from to make something that fits your business.
Yeah, it's awesome. And is that, and just quickly, when a lot of people, when they're talking about, or when I'm, as an outsider, I'm thinking about components, it was really interesting that you just said, actually, this idea of best of breed has been around for ages. It's just the fact that the shift to composable then is about the fact that it's just become better. It's just a better, simpler version of doing that. Is that fair? Is that?
Yes, much better. Emphasize that. It's become much better, because what you did 15 years ago was put together pieces that had different interfaces and worked in different ways, and you had kind of tweak it in together. And changing the components as you grew was a bigger investment than it is today. So due to the market architecture and so forth, it becomes much more easier to adapt to the future. Yeah.
Awesome. And what about business values? From your perspective, what does composable commerce offer for businesses?
You can cut and slice business value in so many different ways when it comes to systems like this. And e-commerce is not only the front-facing part of your web, driving traffic to your web. It's very important, but e-commerce has become such a big piece within most organizations today, so it stretches further back than you know. We usually say that you only see 20% of what we do for our clients. 80% is behind the curtains. So with that in mind, I usually kind of divide it into three different parts: investment, competition, and organization. When it comes to investment, I would say that going composable, the OPEX, from an OPEX perspective, it becomes much easier for you to keep your life expectancy of your platform as long as possible. It will live much longer since you can do small changes during the way, and you can adapt to new markets, new requirements for your customers, and whatever you want to do, new business models. It lowers the cost of adding new channels, new touch points, or adding new use of the platform. Could be internal use as well. From a competition perspective, you will, with that technology and that enablement, it will truly or drastically increase your chances to outperform competition, since you can do and adapt very quickly. I think Gartner estimated that in 2023, companies that had adapted to composable commerce will be able to adapt 80% faster to new business models, new requirements, and so forth. So it's an investment for the future, for sure. Now, the initial investment, like a CapEx investment, could be higher, but in the long run, it will be a win, definitely. When it comes to organization, by using these small package business components, those components will reach further into the organization as well. You will have more people working with the different parts of your modern commerce system, because it's not about the e-commerce anymore. Well, it is, of course, but it's also about many other channels. This will create a much higher awareness about all the touch points and channels deeper into the organization. And it will also empower your employees to work more with experimentation, try and fail and succeed, of course, at a much lower cost, and that breathes creativity within the organization. So you'll become, everyone in the organization will come closer to your customer in that sense.
Yeah. And from the perspective of, I mean, just building on that, something that comes up a lot, I think the business values, what composable commerce is, what it does differently. I think there's so much evidence of the power it offers businesses. But is it right for everyone? That seems to be like a big idea. Does it work for everyone? And is it and what else can you tell us about that?
Well, it's with all of these paradigm shifts going from single channel, multi-channel, cross-channel, omni-channel, and into headless and composable, you have to take a step back and take a sober look at it. You have to map it back to your business values. And composable commerce kind of sprung out of the headless part, which also have a strong technical hold. I mean, it's all about business values. It's built on top of business values. But when this started off, it kind of targeted companies that were more tech savvy. But now it's different. We have very well-established products out there. We have an architecture that is kind of a standard for the industry and so forth. So it's definitely usable for any type of company. So it's not about if you're B2B or B2C, or if you're selling fashion or furniture online. It's more about understanding or figuring out how much flexibility you need in the future. I would look at a couple of parameters, like what are your customers' expectations, or the rate of changing customer expectations over the next 5 years, and try to get a grasp of that. Will your industry go through big changes when it comes to business models, for example, or go-to-markets, which includes everything from digital strategy to how you basically get paid for your services and products? And the changes in your value proposition, how will that change moving forward? And of course, the IT landscape. Composable, as I mentioned before, is not either you are or you aren't composable. You have the ability to be more or less composable. We work with a couple of different platforms. One of the platforms are religious about composable and headless. The other one has more pre-built, but we built a layer on top of that to make it even more composable. So what do you actually need? I mean, if you want to buy a platform that has a lot of pre-built functionality, that could be absolutely right for you. And we add the composable commerce layer on top of that, which makes you more agile moving into the future. Or do you want to go 100% core and go 100% headless and build everything headless, maybe you don't have any legacy and so forth. So by looking at your IT landscape, what's the roadmap for a ERP system? What's the roadmap for other systems, and how would that map to an implementation of composable commerce for you? So there are many different parameters. To summarize it, you have to look at where you're heading. What are your needs for?
Yeah, and it's every conversation I have about this is abundantly clear that it's something that you can try to talk about for 5 minutes. But of course, the whole point is that you could talk about this for 5 years. But Johan, you've done it in about 9 minutes, which I think is a really good effort, actually.
Okay.
That's a much briefer summary than I think most manage. But yeah, you've really got across, I think, a better understanding of what it actually is and what it does from those kind of businesses who are trying to navigate all this stuff. So thank you so much for your time. And no doubt we'll be doing more soon. Always a pleasure to talk to you. That's it for today, and we'll be back with many more soon. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks very much.
Thank you.